So what is the difference between what you do than those professions?
Well, I can't speak for all of them because I haven't done those professions, but many of the healings involve some kind of a religion or belief, or other systems. But in essence, when we
Mhm.
talk about energy healing, it's all the same energy.
Right.
Just in
Yes.
Japan, they call it the ki, and China is the
Yeah.
chi. We
Yes.
call it
Yes.
bioenergy, but it's
Okay.
all exactly the same.
Okay.
And all the healing methods will touch the energy field. Now, everything
Okay.
about you, your mind, body, spirit, emotions, everything is connected in this energy field. So when you
Okay.
work with the energy, you touch all of those. There's no separate, like you go to a foot doctor or you go to an eye doctor or so.
Right.
We look at the energy as a unit. There's no such
Right.
thing that only one part of you can go bad.
Right.
Okay, it's either all or nothing.
Two, three. Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I'm your host, Life Coach Myrna Young, and sitting in the guest chair today is Csongor Daniel. Csongor and I are going to be talking on the topic of bioenergy healing, how to heal yourself. So, I have dabbled in this myself, and we're going to get into this conversation. But, just a couple of days ago, my foot was hurting like crazy. And I've tried to send energy there. You know what I'm doing. I know that's the same thing that Congour is going to be talking about. But I know that you can use energy or your thoughts or to heal your body. So I am interested in getting into this conversation to learn more about this very beautiful topic. Welcome, Conger.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. All right. So let me give you guys a an introduction. Csongor Daniel is the author of 3 books on bioenergy healing and a veteran of numerous lectures and seminars around the world. Csongor teaches his clients how to easily feel the energy and utilize it to reduce pain, induce healing, and live a healthy life. Conger shares how he went from a sickly kid to not getting ill since 1989. He's a master of long distance healing, and in this episode, we'll explain the process through quantum physics. Some nutritional myths may also be busted during this interview. On the wilder side, Conger builds motorcycles, which he then rides to those seminars, even if they're in the Alps. Wow. Very
One
nice.
has to have a passion.
That gives me a wild visual. So thank you for that. Wow. All right. So I always like to set the table for a conversation by letting the listener audience understand your journey to where you are right now, how you happen to come on this in this path of work. So can you start off by telling us how did you get into bioenergy healing? You talked about being a sickly kid. Did that kind of predispose you to start this work?
No, not at all. I mean, I just had a normal life growing up, and I actually chose engineering for my well, trade passion. Um, I was about halfway through college when I realized that I could heal others even without touching them, and it was just by accident. A good friend of my dad's was visiting, and he had already some knowledge about the energy. This was back in the 80s, and he showed us how to feel the energy, how to see it, certain things, to do with it. And I realized that this was something that I felt my whole life. I just could not explain what it was. And I mean, I was just doing it as a hobby. It was interesting. It really got to me, like studying engineering and physics and things that you can touch and that are logical your whole life. And all of a sudden there's this invisible force. Sure, there's force around the magnet. I mean, you take it as granted, but we were not taught that this energy is all around, it's inside and out us, and it connects us, and everything in the universe is connected in this energy field. So at the beginning, I would just, stop somebody's headache, and I really wasn't sure what I was doing. I had a good friend who was a long distance marathon runner, these ultra marathons, and he always had issues with his ankle. And, we were like 20, still very young, and playing with this idea. Well, let me see what I can do with your ankle. And again, I had no idea what I was doing, but we both felt this heat and tingling and some pressure. And the end result of a 10-minute treatment was that he got up and like, hey, I don't have any pain. Awesome. You should try this again. And that was it for a while. Then one day my mom's back was hurting, and that's what changed everything. I still wasn't done with college. I was still studying. That was still my direction. And I stood behind my mom. She's quite short, 5 feet tall. And I stood maybe 2, 3 feet behind her, and I was trying to feel her energy. And as I went behind her, and I kind of visualized pulling this pain out. Again, I had no idea what I was doing. It was still on the level of instinct. It wasn't an educational or educated, guess. And as I started pulling this energy out, all of a sudden my mom started moving back. And as I pushed my hand forward, my mom went back. And again, I pulled my hand back and my mom went back. Mom, what are you doing? She said, nothing. What are you doing? She said, I don't know. I mean, all of a sudden, I realized that I could move her without touching her. Now, this is, another level of crazy. Okay, I can't explain it, but it's happening. So what do I do with that knowledge? I go out to the pub and tell my buddies. And that was the culture. Everybody was out every night, not necessarily getting drunk, but it was the pub culture. So, of course, they laughed at me, and then I tried it on somebody. Then my marathon runner buddy came in like, yeah, it works. And then so I tried on another one, and I was able to move them without touching them. By the end of the night, we were making bets in this pub, who's going to move and who's not. It was like all bets in beer. And so that
Wow.
was the beginning of this brilliant career. That's when I realized that, gee, there's a lot more to this, and I don't see anybody else doing this. Maybe I should, figure it out. Not too long after that, my mom was yelling, "Come, see this guy on TV," and they had a little special in the news talking about a Croatian healer. His name was Denko Domancic. Nobody can pronounce it, but
I'm not even going to try.
he was quite famous already.
Mhm.
And he worked on a small island in the Adriatic. And you could see aerial pictures of thousands of people waiting in line in these tiny streets, trying to get to see him. And so I figured, wow, I need to get in touch with this guy. He was bending people. He was moving them without touching them. All the things that I was able to do, not knowing how, but there's somebody who could possibly explain it to me. Long story short, I could not catch him on the island. This was 35 years ago or so. Phone lines were pretty bad. No cell phones, no internet, right? And by the time I get in touch with somebody at the island, he was gone. So later on, my marathon runner buddy run over with the newspaper, like, hey, man, you got to see this. There's some professor talking about this, and he's measuring these energy fields, and he can tell you, things. So I got in touch with him. I was able to squeeze in, and I spent the weekend there. We went through all kinds of tests. They measure everything in your body, what you can measure in the radio. You have amps, ohms, volts. You're electromagnetic in nature.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, he pulled me over and he says, "Hey, young man, I think you need to change professions. You're like one in 10,000 as far as your numbers show."
Wow.
Like, great, but nobody's teaching this, no college courses, no nothing about this. Oh, I have the guy for you. And we hopped in the car, we drove outside of Belgrade. About half an hour later, he introduced me to Mr. Domancic. So I get goosebumps each time. It was meant to be, it was
Of
set up
course.
from somewhere.
Yes, of
In
course.
essence, I get introduced. I spent some time with him. I worked with him. Eventually, 20 of us from the country became certified as bioenergy healers or biotherapists. So it was a new thing. It was all thanks to Mr. Domancic, who was the first one to prove the existence of this healing power. Back in the 80s, he showed it on 30 people who had gangrene. Gangrene, you get a cutoff. That's
Yeah,
basically it.
right, right.
Some of them had scheduled amputations. While after 2 weeks of treatment, which the media was following and the doctors and such, um, you could see how daily the colors change in that foot that was black
Mhm.
and
It
now
was black.
turning
Wow.
pink. And after 2 weeks, nobody had any amputations. Nobody
Wow.
could explain the energy. Nobody could explain how he did it, but he
Mm.
received the license to actually do
Wow.
it.
It's very interesting. I had my son-in-law's mom died of gangrene, and you're like 30 minutes from me. If I had this
Turns
interview
out.
2 hour and two years ago, maybe you could held her. Yes,
Well, as
she
you
got
can tell, the
gangrene.
the entire the entire approach to healing is different through energy. Uh,
Right. Okay. But anyway,
Modern
guys.
medicine, it
Wow.
treats the symptoms and it keeps you alive as long as you can buy the products. So it's a
Right.
big business.
Wow.
The food
Wow.
industry is a business. Everything is a business. So
Okay.
nowadays you have the advantage of the internet, even
Hmm.
though there's too many informations, but you can sift through and really find the truth if you're looking for it.
Okay. Well, that's amazing. So let me ask you a question. That was a great story. I've heard similar stories where people that are medical intuitive, same kind of thing. I've heard stories where people that are become shamans, same kind of thing. So what is the difference between what you do than those professions?
Well, I can't speak for all of them because I haven't done those professions, but many of the healings involve some kind of a religion or belief, or other systems. But in essence, when we
Mhm.
talk about energy healing, it's all the same energy.
Right.
Just in
Of course.
Japan, they call it the ki, and China is the
Yeah.
chi. We
Yes.
call it
Yes.
bioenergy, but it's
Okay.
all exactly the same.
Okay.
And all the healing methods will touch the energy field. Now, everything
Okay.
about you, your mind, body, spirit, emotions, everything is connected in this energy field. So when you
Okay.
work with the energy, you touch all of those. There's no separate, like you go to a foot doctor or you go to an eye doctor or so.
Right.
We look at the energy as a unit. There's no such
Right.
thing that only one part of you can go bad.
Right.
Okay, it's
Right.
either all or nothing.
Or nothing. You know,
Eventually, of course.
right. I am actually very aware of that. I am aware, not that I can bend it or do anything like you can, because you're a specialist on that. But I'm aware that the breath that I breathe in, like I can sit in my bedroom and recognize that even though I see nothing, there's some there. There's something there. There's an energy there. And I breathe it in, the same life energy. I can breathe it in. And that's basically what I said to you. I have been able to heal or take away pain, not heal, take away pain by breathing in and focusing this energy on the particular part of my body that's hurting, because I understand that what you're breathing in is not empty space,
Mm-hmm.
dark matter. It's not empty space. We look at it as empty space, but
You
I'm
can't
talking
see
to
it,
you
but
and
it's
it's
there.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm talking to you now over Zoom and you can hear me. It's all energy, radio energy, transistor energy, and that's all that. So that I'm aware of that. And then you mentioned quantum energy in your bio, which is something that I've dealt with. I've dabbled with by praying for somebody and recognizing that that I can try to lay hands on someone that's not around. Again, I'm like you when you're just playing with it. Right.
You just have to change your point of view or the idea altogether. There was electricity around the world before electricity was invented, right? All of this energy had been around and has been around ever since the beginning of time. Now, everything is made of tiny particles, atoms. Atoms are made of a whole bunch of tinier particles, but if we just identify, let's say two, we can explain the entire existence of everything. Okay, so you look at our bodies, it appears to be kind of solid, right? I mean, flexible, but solid. Yet we know that about 70% of this is water. If I start jumping around, obviously you won't hear it splashing around because it's contained in trillions of tiny cells.
I like that.
So let's turn on the microscope and look at one cell. Go deep inside a little bit, look at one cell. From the outside, it's just a balloon filled with water. And there's about 5,000 different particles in it, including your DNA, which if you could stretch it out, it would go to the moon and back. Okay? Oh, these tiny, tiny, tiny particles. Now, let's ignore the 5,000 things there and just concentrate on the water made of hydrogen and oxygen. So if you go deeper, you'll find those molecules. Now you're in a gaseous state. Okay? You're in one of the gases, hydrogen or oxygen. You go deep inside and you find an atom. Now, the atomic structure is where you have to expand your mind a little bit. We have the solar system with the sun in the middle and planets traveling around on certain distances, always staying there on their course. In the atom, you have a nucleus and electrons traveling around, also on certain distances, so many electrons. Now, when you look at the model on the teacher's desk, it's totally off scale. If you could squeeze the sun to the size of a pea, then Pluto would be 1.5 miles away and it would be the size of a bacteria. Yet it would still go around the sun, right? In the atom, if we magnify the nucleus to the size of a pea or so, the closest electron would be probably 400 yards away or so. So if you stick it in the middle of a stadium, the first electron would be outside the bleachers somewhere. Now, this electron is so frisky, it goes around forming what you would see from the outside as a ball shape because it's anywhere at any given moment. Kind of like when you spin a pendulum and you see the circle, here you would see a ball. 99.999999999% of it is empty space. Yet it's existing right there. Then you connect it with another atom and another, some is missing electrons, some is extra, they form a bond, and all of a sudden you have this body. But deep inside, 99.999999999% is empty space. Now, as any electromagnetic field, like in the power lines, you have a field around it. We also have an electromagnetic field that goes, roughly as far as you can reach, kind of like an egg shape around you. And this varies. This desk that I'm sitting by, it's always the same until you burn it. Then the energy changes. Our energy changes constantly. Every living being's energy changes constantly. Now ours changes from, the air we breathe. You mentioned breathing. You can't live without it, right? You can't live without water. We could talk about water forever, but, go for alkaline water, non-plastic container, blah, blah, blah. We can get into that. Food affects your energy. We can talk about that for weeks. Anyway, good food raises your energy, bad food lowers your energy.
Mm.
Same about your location. You're in Fort Myers, Florida, beautiful sunny weather right now. You could be, I don't know, we're snowing right now, Philadelphia, or you could be in Beijing in pollution. So the big difference in where you are, your environment, the air, um, cosmic rays, geopathic zones, underground caves, caverns, everything changes the energy. More change comes from electromagnetic fields. Right now, electromagnetic fields are radiating around us. Many radio waves are going through us right now that we thankfully don't feel. So we're bombarded with electricity around. Other people's energy influence our energy. Obviously, you have that one friend who comes in and woohoo, and everybody's happy. The energy opens up, or you have the one who's complaining all the time. So it changes that way. It's all up to you how you perceive. So the biggest influence on your own energy and your health is right here.
Mhm.
If you think you're
Thoughts.
happy and healthy,
Right.
you are. If you
Right.
think you're not, well, you're not.
Right.
It's it's
Wow.
uh it's about it's really about the perception of the world. When you're
Yes.
happy,
Yes.
your energy expands. When you're
Yes.
scared or negative, it
It
contracts.
contracts.
So
Right.
you want the shield to be out all the time.
Right. I love it. I love that lesson. Thank you. That was pretty detailed. I love
But
it.
how do you get there? That's the big question. A lot of people
How do
go,
I get
well,
there?
I don't know. It doesn't work, Where I had one
Well,
lady.
right. What we're talking about is that 99% of the energy in the world or in the cosmos is empty space, like they call it dark matter or whatever. So, but okay, so let's bring this conversation constricted in what our conversation is today. So I just mentioned to you that I dabble in healing somebody that, like I'm praying for someone and I'm, saying that I'm laying hands, and I'm using the energy of my thought, right? You just mentioned that whatever
That's
you think.
also energy, yes.
Right. So what are we doing with this bioenergy in order to heal ourselves with it? When you were moving your mom, how were you changing this ball of nothingness into something?
Well, there's always something.
Okay.
Essential problems in the energy field are when the energy gets too weak, for instance, for too long. It's like your immune system being weak.
Mm.
If you have negative thoughts for too long, your energy is weak. You're more vulnerable to outer influences. However, if some area has too much energy, that's also not good. About 95% of the time when you have a headache, it's too much energy around your head. The energy circulates up in the front, goes down in the back. Okay? If, for instance, let's say you get a little blockage by your neck, the energy can't go through the rest of the body to the rest of your organs, or not fully, and it accumulates around your head. Then the more the energy, the more the pain. So you pop a pill, numb it out, and that's it. Or you come and see me. It will take about 2 minutes to remove that excess energy, and the pain vanishes right away. We also try to recognize why it stopped and jumpstart the energy flow, which some of these movements are unique to just bioenergy healing, to my teacher's method. I haven't seen it in any other method around the world, which gives it the extra strength. So not only that we take off and or add energy to balance it, but we also jumpstart the energy flow. So, making that river flow instead of letting it stop. The more you open the dam, the more it flows, the happier you are.
I
And we
love it.
repeat that until the body is able to hold on to its own balance and continue its own healing. I technically don't really heal anybody. I do more like an
The
energy
energy.
engineering
Right.
where
Right.
I give the body the perfect environment so it can continue on its own, which is programmed to heal itself. It's not the band-aid that heals you when you cut yourself, right?
Right.
So
Right.
this is all something that could be part of education. I mean, kids learn to feel the energy, see it, manipulate it very easily. My daughter was 2 years old when she stopped grandpa's knee pain without
Wow.
knowing what she was doing. She was just mimicking my move. I
Wow.
actually, she was 2, but when she was 9, we published a book together. It's a children's book.
Wow. The girl
And
with the healing hands. Okay.
it's a little story. Actually, my daughter did all the illustration when she was 9.
Illustrations. Wow.
Even this is her
So it's obviously
self-portrait.
hereditary.
Well, the healing, I guess, and she became an art teacher now, just like my mom was.
Oh, wow. Wow.
This was a long time ago, and it turns out that many adults also learn how to feel and see the energy through this. Um, my actual adult book will teach you everything from A to Z, how to feel it, how to see it, how to manipulate it, how to keep it in perfect shape. It's also very important. And there are many ways to do that. Going back to your, prayer or thinking of a body part, we learn how to move the finger, you know, straight bend, nothing to it. We are doing it without thinking.
Mhm.
It goes same with the energy, the healing would be doing the same if we learned through the same process. Just like we go to school, we learn uh, how to do certain things, but nowadays they don't even teach you how to eat. They don't teach you how to balance your checkbook. They don't teach many things that are important
No.
for actual
No.
life.
Just teach you how to add algebra.
And after
And
after so
geometry.
many
I mean, you don't even use those things. Right. Mhm.
after so many years of doing this, I also taught Tai Chi for many years, and I realized that
I was just about to say that because I had a guest that did the movements in order to move the energy as well. And you were talking about movements a minute ago.
yeah, so the
Right.
Tai Chi would be one of the practices. Yoga is pretty good, but Tai Chi, Qigong, they concentrate more on the energy and how to move it through the body. So these are some of the practices that you can do to maintain your health, or you can stay happy all the time if you can, learn how. So it's being in constant positive thinking, or if you reach a Zen state where everything is, you know.
That,
Um,
right.
it's all just a matter of training your brain a little bit. When it's raining outside, you can look out and think, "Oh crap, I hate this weather," or you can look out, "Oh, it's beautiful, good for the grass. I can sit inside, read a book, whatnot." Um, one was a negative thought, one was a positive thought, right?
Mhm.
Did either one of them change the weather? No.
No. But it changed your energy. I love
Yeah,
it.
so
Yes.
rather than being unhappy, I'd be happy. So
Right.
that's my choice. And
Right.
if you can get to that state, which everybody should be in, there would be no fingers on the highway. There would be no, other confrontations. We are all in that same energy. We're all breathing the same air. When I see hatred in the world, I mean, it's all people who had families. If you think you're about your own mother or children, you love them, right? Well,
Mhm.
everybody has the same thing. It's just,
Yeah.
a few blocks away or a few continents away. But in essence, it's really just the positive thinking and the love that will take you to the next level
Yeah.
and keep you
Well,
healthy.
right. Well, I learned a long time ago. I've been in this space to protect my energy. And I do that by meditating. I do that by walking in nature every day. I do that. And one of the people that started me with the positive thinking for my energy was Dr. Dwayne Dyer. And he talked about keeping yourself in positive energy by thinking good thoughts, right? So I work on that. And the reason I work on it is because I also know that your thoughts attract, like the law of attraction. So when you say that thinking negative energy, then you're attracting negative things to you. And when you are thinking positive, you're trying to attract positive things. And there's a whole bunch of things.
It's like a magnet, yeah.
Right. It's like a magnet. That's what you're attracting, right? So, you said that your book talks about how, you know, somebody can learn how to move energy
Yes,
in.
and it was
Right.
through qigong that I realized that, whoa, I'm not so special. I mean, anybody can learn how to do this.
Right.
And so I started teaching it, and I realized that really, I mean, 90% of people will feel the energy the first time I show them. 90% of them will see the energy, which is none of them is important to heal, by the way. My teacher developed a system. He systematized this method over many years. Now he had healed over 1.5 million people. You know, after like 100,000, you probably already figured out everything. What's the best? And you know, through that system, even if you don't feel the energy, you hold your hands at certain places for a certain amount of time, move the energy, remove it, such. You can all learn to move people. Most people can do it. It's just a matter of shifting consciousness a little bit. And what I did over all these years was develop a system that would take a total beginner who had never even heard of the energy and make them a healer within one day, if they're fast readers. If not, you know,
Right.
take a week. But
Wow.
gee, you know, it doesn't take years of the school or college. It's actually very simple, and I made the method so it goes step by step. You know, with the simplest thing, and then slowly we'll build it up. During COVID, my cousin was here from Budapest, and he got stuck here, and he's a filmmaker. So we put together an entire online seminar, like an online school. It's very much like my book, but this has the visuals. You can see the electricity between the fingers. You know, it's all added. You can see what you're supposed to feel. And so it's an incredible tool, incredible learning aid. And literally anybody can learn how to heal.
Wow.
From the 2-year-old, you know, to a 100-year-old, there are no limits. Most of you will realize that you've done something like that before. There's a difference when you put your hand on somebody, just, you know, put your hands on it, or you tighten that hand a little bit and all of a sudden the energy flows. Did you know? If you're relaxed, nothing happens. As soon as you tighten your hands a little bit, the energy gate opens. Let's show your audience how to feel this energy, and we'll try it all
Okay.
just to see how easy it is. I
Okay.
want you to lift your arms up straight and relax your fingers. So this just shows you how, you know, you're totally relaxed. Now lift your hands up straight. So they're in line with your forearm.
Okay.
There's a little bit of tension there, right?
Yes.
This is relaxed. This is a little bit tense. Okay, so with this tension, hold an imaginary ball. Let your elbows down. Um, just relax them and visualize a basketball-sized ball between your hands. Once you have it, squeeze it in by an inch and let it back. And squeeze it in just by an inch and back. And you can even speed up this motion. What do you feel?
I feel the tingling in my fingers.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a little bit of heat, maybe a little bit of magnetic resistance. When
Yes.
you play with magnets and you either can't
Yes.
push them together or okay, now
Oh.
get a little bit closer as you do that. There will be spots where you feel it more or less. And move all the way to an inch distance now. Make your hands flat, fingers straight like this. And slowly start circling just like that. And if your arms are relaxed, only your fingers are tense, you'll feel the center of that rotation. Again, like playing with magnets, when you try to push them together and they wouldn't go, they create this circular feeling, right? And your hands follow that circle exactly. And it's basically the middle of your palm that it follows. Now stop for a moment and pull your hands apart. Can you feel that resistance? Like it's
Yes.
like there's a rubber
Wow.
band in between. And
Wow.
then now
Yes.
make a bigger ball and you push it together and there's even more resistance. So
Okay, hang on. When I
slowly
go,
we're
when I go, when I go this far, I was trying to see if I still feel it, that I still feel it.
but keep the
Right.
ball. If you separate your hands like that, you won't feel it. So it has to be parallel the entire time. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, unparalleled, right.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that if
So
I went far, then I wouldn't feel it.
it's still
When
there.
I go here, when I go here, I don't feel it. But then when I
So
come back,
it's just like I can move somebody from 2 feet, I can move that person for 100 feet or a mile away. It doesn't matter. So distance, time, space has nothing to do here.
wow.
That's also a reason I can perform long distance healing. I have
Mm.
clients in Canada,
That's like
Australia,
quantum
Europe.
energy you're using there.
Yeah.
Right.
So we
Okay.
are all connected. You know, when you think of someone and the phone rings and that person is on the
Yes.
other line,
Yes. Well, I know that, which is basically
it's
what.
there all the time. So this is just artificially creating the same so I can visualize that person. When you're one on one with me, I go around you, I feel the energy. I feel
Wow.
where there's too much or too little, and I manipulate it right there. And we can talk, we can watch TV, it's automatic now.
Someone
When I
did
do
that
it
to me
long
once.
distance,
Right.
I have to go into deep meditation and so we don't communicate, but we communicate on a different level.
On a different level. But tell our listeners, I like the headache thing. How do you get rid of your headache by moving or getting rid of the
Let's give
blockage?
an
Because
example
everybody can imagine.
while we're playing with the same energy.
Right.
Uh, bring your hand here. Grab this ball one more time, just for a moment to feel it, and then bring it to your face. Don't touch your face. Just like an inch or two away. Do these circular movements as if you were washing your face. Can you feel that heat in your hands, or can you feel the heat in your face, or a little pressure?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Now, when you have a headache, it's excess energy around your head. You can go around your head like this, back, pull your hands and shake them off. Like shake the as if you picked up like jello with your hands. Think of this as jello. So you go around your head, pull it off, shake it off. And you keep doing this till you follow every part of your head, shake it off, and the pain goes away.
Wow.
It's much easier than to work on
Great.
others than yourself, because with others there's a difference in potential, difference in the energy level. Yourself is a little bit harder. However, with long practice and also learning meditation and long distance healing, you can heal yourself like a snap, just like that.
Okay. Well, let me
And
ask you something.
yes.
Now, I've been using healing by focusing my breath on a certain part of my body. So is that different or is the same? Like this is like a fork on the
Well,
same
you're
kind of
again
thing.
going into the energy. So
Okay.
everything is energy.
Right.
Um, it's a different method of doing it. Now you can concentrate on breathing, or you can concentrate on something else, bring your attention to that area.
Uh-huh.
But you have to um, program it the right way. If you say no pain, no pain, no pain, you're just gonna make the pain worse. No is a negative word. Pain is again a negative word that you're repeating.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to rephrase it into positive way. With every breath I take, I feel better and better. Or with every breath I take,
Okay.
my head feels better, or such. Otherwise, chemically, I try to look in everybody for the cause of their illness as well. It's not enough for me to just fix it.
Right.
And so many times, besides the negative thoughts, it's a lack of nutrition. It's bad advice from, well, lifelong bad advice, or medication, or, there could be tons of reasons for issues. So education is very important. And some of the things that are out there nowadays, what do you do if you have high blood pressure? What will your doctor tell you?
Take a pill. Right.
Yeah, they will give you some medication. Um, I still have to meet a doctor who will prescribe apples or something to anybody, because an apple a day keeps him away.
Doctor
So
away, right, right,
yes,
right.
and they have to make a
Wow.
living too, and the pharmaceutical companies have to make a living too. So,
Yeah, yeah,
but you have to make a living too, and
yeah.
so
Well,
you
I
gotta be
learned a long
educated.
time ago. I learned a long time ago that drugs, whether it's prescription drugs or street drugs, lower your energy. And you mentioned that briefly when we first started talking, that, pills and all those things takes, negative,
Well, there's no pill
snatch from your
without a
energy.
side effect nowadays. No matter
What's that?
what you take for something, it will mess up
Yes.
something else. And the misconceptions are so piled up now. I mean, we're in the 21st century. We should, all know all of these things, yet it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Um,
You,
I don't
you
even
look at
know
the
where
you look
where
at
to
okay.
start.
Right. I mean, like you just mentioned high blood pressure, right? You look at the risk. Do I take this high blood pressure medicine or I have a stroke, right? Even though this high blood pressure medicine is going to give me, diarrhea,
Why
give
do you have the high blood
headache.
pressure? Why is there a high blood pressure? Oh, your cholesterol is high. Well, thank God my brain is made of cholesterol. I mean, if I didn't have it, and since the cholesterol medication, where's the Alzheimer level? Again, if you draw connections there, it's terrible. And the reasons they come up with, cholesterol is your friend.
Yes.
Salt is your friend. They tell you, oh no, you got to be on low sodium. Why? Sodium is the salt. Sodium chloride is the most important electrolyte in your body. Without it, you're dead. You have no hydration. Um, let me get into, I promise, some misconceptions here. Okay, let's
Yes.
see what bad salt does to you. Let's say the regular table salt that you buy in Publix or so. It's about 39 to 42% the sodium chloride. What's the rest in it? It's I'll be really quick. The rest is sand and silica. Silica is tiny microscopic shards of glass.
Plastic. Glass. Oh.
Glass. So that makes it into your blood vessels. And this
Mm,
glass goes through your blood vessels and scratches them like
mm.
this.
Oh
And now
wow.
the body panics. Well, it needs to fix it. There's no band-aids, but there's cholesterol. So cholesterol goes and fixes all of those, right? Now, if you keep doing the same thing, you keep piling up that same cholesterol in those areas. Now, if you have extra uh, calcium carbonate, floating through, it will eventually harden, and yes, you will get narrowing of your blood vessels. But it's not the cholesterol's fault; it's the salt's fault.
So,
Now, um, in essence, what we need to know about salt. Without it, there's no hydration. I mean, they used to use salt for money. In your cell wall, there's a very fine interaction between sodium and potassium chlorides. Their ratio should be 30 to 1, 30 sodium, 1 potassium. If that is right, then the food goes in and out, no problem. If it's off, problems happen. Too much potassium chloride will indeed mess you up. So, according to this ratio, if you want healthy salt, it has to be about 97% pure sodium chloride. I don't care if Himalayan sea salt, whatever. If it doesn't have 97% sodium chloride, it goes out. I use salt from Bosnia, which is mined. It's pure 99.7% sodium chloride.
what's that
I
called?
put I put a quarter teaspoon in every glass of water I drink, without
Mm.
exception, probably the last 5 or 6 years. Never felt
Wow.
better, never been better hydrated, never had more.
What
And
what's that salt called? Because I used the Himalaya pink salt. I didn't know why, but they just said it was for the
because they
shelf.
told you it was good,
Yeah, I know,
right?
right?
And you probably drank milk when they said milk does a body good, and they had those milky mustaches, right? Sure, if you go straight from the animal, and it's
Right. Not all
non-processed,
the
but
things that
even
they
then,
put
the
in the
cow
milk.
milk is for
Right.
the cow.
Right.
So ever since you were 2, you were fine without milk, but it's a different story. They tell us things because they want us to buy those products.
Of course, of course.
Even my doctor smokes Camels. That was normal in the 60s, right? And you went and bought Camels. Like, oh, it's probably the healthiest thing. Tour de France, they were passing cigarettes to each other because they thought it expands their lung capacity.
Your lung capacity.
So
Didn't
it's
know
all an
that.
advertisement, and this country is great. You can sell dog poop, if you have the right marketing.
Yeah, I know people were attacking sugar the other day about how bad it is, and they tell you there's no sugar, and then they put, yeah. I mean, it's all marketing.
So in
Right.
salt, for the Himalayan salt, some of it has 30% of potassium chloride instead of 3. Deadly. Some of it has mercury. Deadly. Um, Sea salt, doesn't matter which sea it comes from. There's no sea that is not polluted anymore. You have microplastics in everything. You have radiation in everything. So, mm, I'm down to this mind salt for myself. But think
Mine
about
salt
it.
is called.
When they tell you that you need to reduce your salt, what's in your IV that you get when you're dehydrated and end up in the emergency room?
Sodium chloride, right?
It's 0.9% sodium chloride. So if you
Yeah,
take a
yes, yes,
bottle of water,
yes.
there would be 2 teaspoons full of salt in it that goes directly into your system. So why not drink it?
Okay, wow. Well, it looks like we definitely need your book, not only to learn how to move our energy, but we also need your book to learn what are the foods that helps our energy and the one that distract. I'm assuming you talk about that in your book, right?
Pretty much everything, yes.
All right.
And there's a little bit more in my online seminar. And if you're really enthusiastic, you can come with me in July in the Austrian Alps and do a whole week of
Oh,
healthy living
wow.
and learning healing.
I would like that. July, huh? That gives us time.
Plenty. I'm there every July. It's the most magical spot in the Alps, and
Oh my
even if you wouldn't learn anything, it would be an amazing vacation. But
I
everybody
know.
comes away with new help and
Wow.
knowledge. Yes.
I like those things. Okay. So tell us about your book. Tell us about where, people can go to get more information on it. Yeah, okay. Well, we're, bioenergy healing. But remember, we're on the podcast as well. So
Yes.
I was for the people who are
Uh,
watching on YouTube or on TV.
it's a bioenergy healing, simple techniques for reducing pain and restoring health through energetic healing. It's on Amazon. It's available in every bookstore and such. You can find it on my. It has in audiobooks as well, but in that case, you would miss out on all these little QR codes. As you see, there's about 30 some of them, and they all take you to a video of the motions. So if you haven't figured out from my description how to move, you can just click on it and watch the video.
Yeah, I consume my books on audio because I listen to them when I walk. But then I also get a hard copy, so that I can do them both because I'm very, very interested in this work. But yes, so that is absolutely amazing. So what's your website?
Um, it's well, www.chongordaniel.com. That is CSONGORDANIEL.com. I also have links from there to my school and those videos. There's some free videos you can look at. I also have a Facebook site where you can join in. Every Tuesday and Friday, I do a group long distance healing.
Oh, wow.
You don't have to pay for that one. You just have to, do a little bit of work of yourself. At least concentrate on me for a minute, and you have to work on your own energy. But it's all explained there.
And the Facebook group is under your name as well?
It's all the links are on my website, so it's the
Oh,
center. If you can find my site again, the CNS is like CNH, but CSONGORDANIEL.
wow. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, Kongor. Wow. And I will become a student. I will definitely pick up a hard copy of your book so I can scan the QR codes. But I will start off by listening when I walk because energy has been very important to me. Now, but you have, added some extra little things to what I knew about energy and like I'm aware already. Consciousness is
Mhm.
important. That's the first start. That's the first step. Awareness. And then, you branch off and become better at it and learn more. So I'm in the infant stage, right? I'm still drinking milk, but I've got to become a meat eater. But yes, energy for healing, energy for, law of attraction, energy, your aura. You talked about how far it is that if you stretch out your hand, that's where your energy field is. So that's good because I always wanted to know how far it was for me.
Well,
I
it's
can't
about
imagine.
learning yourself. Learning everything about yourself. There was a point when I knew more about my motorcycles and my cars than about really what's going on in my body.
99.9% of people would feel that way, of course.
Yes, and as you mentioned, like, oh, well, you can stop your own pain. Of course you can. I sat down for meditating the other day, and I had a little kink in my back from a workout, and I was like, oh man, wait a second, what am I doing for a living? And then I stopped and I took a minute, and the pain went, and then I went to
Yeah.
work.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
it's all under our control. We just
Mhm.
have to learn how to hit those switches, those
Yes,
buttons.
I love it. Yes, I love it. I love energy. And you started off by saying, we look at this body and we think that it's mass, but it's not. It's all energy, and I know that. So, a lot of times not a lot of times. Most of the times we're operating where we're not conscious. We're not even conscious of our breath. We're not conscious of
Exactly.
anything. But once in a while, I go there. I'm not telling you I'm there all the time, but once in a while, I'll remember to be conscious, to be aware, you know, and just be in the present moment. And that doesn't happen a lot. But when I'm in the present moment, I'm aware of the energy that I'm breathing in. I'm aware that even though I'm not seeing anything, there's stuff going on in the space, I'm aware of, I can feel the energy, by the way. I've learned how to feel it from the tingling and from the
Hmm.
heat, right? So I know how to feel it. And before I start my when I sit down to wait for my guest to come on, I do a little energy movement thing that I learned from um I'm gonna miss his name now, but he does a Joe Dispenza. He
Hmm.
does an energy where he moves it up his body into the head, right? You move it along, and it's the Kundalini energy,
Hmm.
right? And I do that. I sit here and I move it up, and I'm thinking that what that does is get me more. I mean, it allows me to interact better with my guests, and it allows me to be present, right? So I
Hmm.
do that, and I feel that energy when I do that. I feel the heat in my back because that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing
It's
it up.
been around for 3,000 years. They've been teaching this, and yet it still hasn't made it to my school. What the heck? But I'm curious to see, maybe we set up another recording in 6 months or so and see how what do you think
Yes.
after
I
learning the
would love
system?
to be I would love to be the voice of your work. Yes. So I'm going to become a student of it. Yes, let's do that. And hey, don't I might even be one of your people in the Alps, in July. So that's great.
Sure. It will all be on my website soon,
If I'm a
within a
speaker,
couple
maybe I'll
days.
come next year. Right. Because
Yes.
I'm actually heading out to Alaska in September. It's kind of close to do them both together. So maybe next year I will come. But listen, I love this conversation. Thank you so much. I will have links to Kongor's website and his Facebook group. Are you on, you said Facebook, you're not on Instagram, are you?
I'm on Instagram, TikTok. I have a lot of educational videos up. short ones, morning exercises, routines, swings for enhanced energy, and a lot of lectures are up there too.
All right. So I will link out to that so that you guys can just head to the show page, which is myhelps.us. And if you miss anything or you didn't know how to spell his name, then I will definitely have links to it. And I also would have a summary of our conversation today in an article. So, yes, I love this work that I do. It allows me to showcase beautiful gifts and talent to help you live your best life now by transforming your mind, transforming your energy. But also, I'm learning along with you and I'm upgrading my life with my learning. I've become a lifelong learner. So I hope that you do the same thing too. So Csongor, thank you so much. Now that I know we're neighbors, maybe we'll connect. And as we wrap up, any last words?
No, thank you for having me. This was awesome. Keep up the positive thinking that goes for everybody, and everybody's a healer. They just have to tap into it.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, listen, thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, namaste.
Namaste.